Imagine going from barely making rent to pulling in $250,000 a month on OnlyFans. One of our creators here earns $250,000 every single month without fail, and doing it in under a year. Now, this isn't a fairy tale. This is a real creator I work with, and today I'm breaking down the exact 3-step strategy that took her from zero to multi-6 figures fast. And if you're a creator or running an agency and you want to scale to serious money, this could be the most important video you watch this year. I'm Dylan from Prestige Partners Management. We scale creator brands using my optics system that focuses on content, funnels, retention, and fan psychology. I've helped creators go from $3,000 a month to $30,000, and in this case, over $250,000 a month. This video isn't about gimmicks or magic hacks, it's about strategy that works, built on fundamentals of audience psychology, monetization, and compounding growth. Here's the 3 steps that we have mastered. Step 1, experiment. How to discover what actually gets attention and drives paid subs. Step 2, double down and find what works. How to focus on your winners and build a predictable content and sales machine. Step 3, multiply and invest to grow. How to reinvest, scale with a team, and blow past 6 figures a month. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what separates the creators stuck at a couple of $1,000 a month from the ones pulling in hundreds of thousands. So the top earners on the platform have one thing in common. They've mastered traffic, conversion, and retention. Now, it's not just about posting spicy photos, it's about running a business that builds super fans who buy again and again. Every breakout creator starts with experimentation. This is the messy but crucial phase. It's about finding the right product market fit for your persona. Think of it like this. At the start, you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, but you're doing it deliberately. Now, we experimented in 4 major dimensions. Number 1, persona and positioning. Are you the playful girl next door, the luxury dom, the gym fit influencer with an edgy twist, the wholesome nerdy gamer, or the high-end lifestyle archetype? The persona is your packaging. It decides who will feel like you're their type of creator. Now, number 2, content verticals. We tested thirst trap reels, gym and yoga clips, lifestyle, behind the scenes, comedy skits, pod voiceovers, day in the life, storytelling, even mini podcast styles. And number 3 is visual hooks. So we tested everything: lighting styles, camera angles, the first 3 seconds of every reel, colors, captions, emojis, text overlays, trending sounds, all the micro elements that make someone stop scrolling. Number 4, funnels and calls to action. We tested free trials versus paid subs, discount ladders, different bio link flows, pin PPVs, upsell offers, limited time discounts, and even psychological triggers in story CTAs like scarcity and curiosity. Now, to make sure we weren't just testing blindly, during this stage we held multiple mastermind sessions with our creative director to brainstorm, stress test, and refine every content idea. We dissected why certain trends worked, built test calendars, and reviewed every analytics every single week to pivot fast. Those mastermind sessions were critical for producing content that wasn't just trendy, but strategically built to trigger curiosity and drive traffic to the page. One example, early on we found that one persona performed 3 times better than another. That insight alone changed her entire image. So we documented every test in spreadsheets. If you're not tracking, you're guessing, and guessing doesn't scale. Now, common mistakes that we avoided: positioning the same content style on every platform, ignoring captions and hooks, and copying other creators instead of testing unique angles. Now, here's a key tip I can give you. Use the 80-20 rule. In the early stage, 80% of your effort should be testing and 20% polishing. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The market will tell you what it wants if you let it. Now, that's how we finish step 1, a deliberate experiment phase that built a data-driven map of what the market actually responded to. Once you know what's resonating, it's time to focus. This is where most creators fail. They keep experimenting forever instead of scaling their winners. So once we'd finished the experiment stage and had enough data to know what was actually driving engagement and paid conversions, we then moved into what I call the double down phase. This is the point where most creators either get stuck or plateau because they're still trying to post a bit of everything instead of going all in on what's proven to work. Right, I just had to move location because my camera overheated, so I'll continue. Right, so what we did the opposite. So we stripped everything back to the winning pieces and rebuilt the entire content machine around them. And here's exactly how we approached it. First, we pulled up every single post from the experiment period and looked at the numbers, so the comments, the saves, and how many followers came in directly from that post. Out of roughly 200 pieces of of tested content, a few core styles consistently outperformed everything else. Those few high-performing styles were responsible for roughly 80% of the conversions, so we decided to double down on them completely. At this point, I brought in our creative director for a dedicated series of sessions. We set up weekly creative workshops. We'd sit down, review the best performing clips frame by frame, and ask 3 questions for each. What made this content scroll stopping? What emotion did it trigger? How can we make the next one 10% better? Now, this is where the real refinement started. We analysed every micro element, the first second of the video, lighting, framing, caption style, pacing of transitions, and even the subtle facial expressions that made the content feel authentic. So we experimented with different backgrounds and setups to see how much the environment influenced watch time and engagement. Small changes, like adjusting the depth of the field or adding texture to the backdrop, often produce noticeable lifts in retention. We also worked intensively on hook variations. We tested multiple openers, different tones of voice, and subtle shifts in on-screen movement to see what made people stop scrolling and pay attention. So every week, we'd bring the top posts into the session, analyze them in detail, keep what worked, cut what didn't, and retest with new versions. Now, the key here is that we didn't just repeat what had worked once. We iterated relentlessly. So every shoot day had a plan, multiple background setups, several hook variations, and a few caption angles to A/B split test. Now, by the end of 6 weeks of doubling down and refining, the creator had mastered these winning content styles. She could film them almost on autopilot because we had stripped away the guesswork. Essentially, the videos felt more natural, the hooks were sharper, the environments more consistent, and the data showed it. It wasn't just about filming more, it was about refining every single element that goes into the content production process. And I'm talking about the hook, the frame, the background, the caption, until each style was as effective as it could possibly be. Because she'd mastered these refined styles, batching content became fast and efficient. Now, we could shoot 4 weeks of high-performing posts in a single weekend without sacrificing the quality. And that's what I mean by doubling down. Identify the winners, bring in your creative director or someone with an external eye, and analyze every micro detail that made it work, and then re-engineer it with small controlled experiments until you've squeezed out every extra percent of performance. And when you do that consistently, your content just stops being random and starts functioning like a growth engine. Now, to get to step 3, you need to multiply and invest to grow. This is a stage where everything changes, because once you've identified what works and you've built predictable systems around it, the fastest way to scale is not just to post more, it's to invest strategically so that every winning piece of content reaches as many eyes as possible. So here is exactly how we approached it. The first thing we did was shift our mindset. Up to this point, all the growth came from organic traffic. No paid ads, no external boost. But if you're serious about scaling to 6 figures and beyond, you have to start treating your page like a real business. And that means every dollar you put in needs to bring back more than $1. So our target was very simple. Every $1 invested should aim to bring back $3 to $5. One of the biggest game changers for us was investing into our optics paid promo system. The mistake most creators make is throwing money at random shout outs or low quality promos. Instead, what we did is we built a structured paid promotion strategy inside optics that focused on brand aligned promo sources. Now, the key thing here is we didn't just pick any pages, we picked accounts and platforms where the audience's style, humor, and interests match the creator's brand. So what this meant for us, we were showing ads to the people who were already trying to respond to her kind of content. Now, we initially tested small, then tracked everything and doubled down only on the promos that actually converted. And as soon as we switched to this system, we saw a consistent spike in both traffic and trial to paid conversions. The second major investment was launching the optics clipping system. Now, this is a strategy we are mastering our prestige partners. Now, if you're looking to learn how to 10x your reach, then drop me a DM on Instagram and I'll walk you through the process. We also repurpose the content across loads of different accounts. This is a tactic most people overlook. Instead of relying on a single profile, we distributed the same high-performing content across a network of niche pages and themed accounts. Now, each page acted like a new distribution channel, exposing her brand to fresh audiences that hadn't seen her before. This approach allowed us to flood the platforms without triggering the algorithm penalties that often happen when you post too frequently from just one account. The combination of strategic paid promos, the optics clipping system, and wide-scale repurposing had a compounding effect. The biggest takeaway here is that scaling isn't about reinventing the wheel every week. It's about taking what's already working, amplifying it with paid systems, and then multiplying your distribution so that your content travels further and faster than you could ever do organically. And that is how we went from testing content in the early days to building systems that now run almost on autopilot. Here's the hard truth that most creators and agencies don't want to hear. If all you're doing is copying trends, you're never going to stand out. In 2022 or 2023, you could copy a trending sound, slap on a caption, and get views. But look, we're in 2025 now, that game is over. Algorithms have evolved, audiences have evolved, and if your content looks and sounds like everybody else's, the platform will bury you, and your audience will scroll right past you. So I'm going to show you why being original isn't just a nice idea. It's the single most valuable asset you can have as a creator. I'll break down how originality affects reach, trust conversion, and long-term growth. And I'll give you a framework for creating content that actually stands out. So let's start with a little context. Now, 2 or 3 years ago, TikTok and Instagram were all about trends. The algorithm rewarded volume and speed. And if you jumped on a trending sound fast enough, you could ride the wave. But in 2025, the algorithms have one obsession: watch time and retention. Now, they've learned that people don't stay on the platform because of trends, they stay because they feel connected to a creator's story and also personality. That's why copy-paste content doesn't work anymore. When someone's scrolling, they've already seen 10 versions of the same trend that day. So what that means is there's nothing that makes them stop for yours specifically. And platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are now pushing content that feels human, original, and relatable. What that means is if you can make your audience feel like they know you, the algorithm will reward you for free. Now let's talk about trust. People don't subscribe, buy, or tip just because of a trending sound. They pay because they feel like they have a connection with you. So, original content, your tone of voice, your humor, and your perspective is what builds that connection. Whereas when you copy someone else's skit, sound, or caption word for word, you're not giving the audience a reason to remember you. And here's the kicker, right? Trust converts. The more your content shows an authentic vibe, the more likely people are going to be to click follow, join your OnlyFans, buy your PPVs, or just stick around as a long-term loyal fan. Now, originality is not just about art, it's literally a sales strategy. And the thing is, right, here's what happens if you keep copying trends. Something called algorithm fatigue. Now, platforms detect duplicate audio, captions, and visuals. So if you're posting what everyone else posts, your content is deprioritized. Zero brand recall. Now, even if you get views, nobody remembers you. You become one of those trend videos instead of a distinct personality. You also get weaker conversions. So a trending reel might give you a spike of reach as a one-off hit, but those viewers don't feel any reason to buy because they don't feel like they know you for being you. Then you've also got the ban risk. So overly sexualized trends, especially reposted ones, are getting accounts flagged. So original, safe for work leading personality content is safer and much more sustainable. Copy paste might look like a shortcut, but it's a short-term sugar high that leaves you invisible in the long run. Here's why originality is the ultimate growth hack. When you create something that's yours, your hook style, your tone, your mini-series, your storytelling, nobody can compete with you because they can't copy you the way you can copy a trend. So what that means here is original ideas also tend to get shared more because they feel fresh, and that extra sharing is free organic distribution that trends rarely give you anymore. A lot of creators here be original and think they have to reinvent a brand new type of video every day. Now look, that is simply not true. Here's my framework for originality. So anchor your persona. What I mean by that is define your brand voice. Are you playful? Are you sarcastic, edgy, nurtured, educational, aspirational? Something like that. Now, everything you post should feel like it came from that personality. Make trends your own. Instead of copying a trend word for word, twist it to fit your world. So what I mean by that is change the hook, rewrite the caption, flip the punchline, so it then reveals something about you. And focus on storytelling. Share many stories, behind the scenes of your shoots, your reaction to a funny comment, a day in the life moment. Now, the thing is, these don't have to be cinematic. Just make them real, make them natural. Create series, not one-offs. And look, series actually make you memorable and they'll keep people coming back. And with this, you need to make sure you're using hooks that highlight you, not just the trend. So instead of opening with the same sound everyone uses, open with an expressive movement or an expressive moment, a facial expression, a question, a challenge, or a statement that hooks the viewer in the first 2 seconds. Then measure and double down. So track which original posts get higher watch time, saves, DMs, click-throughs, then scale those styles. Now, the market will tell you what resonates, so look at the data here. Now, originality doesn't mean you never join a trend, it means that the trend isn't the star, you are the star. Here's a long-term reason originality matters. Algorithms change every single year. Trends rise and die every month, but a strong original brand is algorithm proof. So when people follow you because they like your style and your personality, it won't matter which sound or format is hot next week, they're gonna keep watching because it's you, it's original. That is how you build a sustainable audience that buys from you year after year. So here is the big picture. Copy-paste trends might give you a blip of reach, but they don't build trust or sales. Original content makes you memorable, builds stronger connections, and keeps you safe from algorithm changes. The more original your content, the more control you have over your growth. And in 2025, the algorithm doesn't reward sameness. It rewards connection, and connection comes from originality. Because of this specific creator consistently brings in around $250,000 every single month. Not because of luck or a viral trend, but because us Prestige Partners Management, built the right foundation, doubled down on what worked, and then invested to multiply her reach. And if you take one thing from this video, let it be this: real growth comes from strategy, not chance. So if you're ready to scale your own brand, check the links in the description for my free training. I hope you all drew some insane value from this. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new here. I'll see you all in the next one. Sweet.